All right. What is hump day? I forgot. What's hump day? Oh, just Wednesday. Why? All right. Middle of the week. Oh, okay. Halfway. I mean, I've heard the phrase, never really paid attention to it. All right. We got about a minute and a half. We'll get started. So we'll stay in this room through oil, through the oil report. So the new Sony earbuds were released yesterday. I am dying to buy those. Expensive though. I don't like to spend a lot of money on earbuds because I have so many pairs of them, and it's reached a point where the very reasonably priced ones sound incredible. And the big thing about the Sony's is the noise cancellation, and it's a feature I don't really care that much about, but they've got. But the earbuds are so good, supposedly. I'm really dying to buy them. So I think I'll wait until I can find them renewed, a refurb. I bought my Sony Extra Bass earbuds refurbed, and they're phenomenal. I think I only paid about $40 for them, and they were great. Normally they were about 100. But these new Sony earbuds are a big deal. They support high-res audio, all sorts of really nice features. They have the best noise cancellation in the industry, and supposedly they rival the $400 Bowers and Wilkins earbuds, and the Sony's are only $279. So it's pretty good. I'm an earbud maniac. It's something that I love. All right, let's go into the room. 10-minute trades. We're here for the Canada rate statement, and we'll stay for the crude oil report. My name is Lee Goldstein, trading director at 10-minute trades. Remember that all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. It is possible to lose money trading futures, so know that there is risk in trading. Be careful, please. And I want to welcome our friends on YouTube. Give our stream a like, sign up for the channel, hit the notification bell so you know the next time we're going to be streaming. We stream 3 to 4 times a week without fail. So I'm just here for a non-DMM, no report. This is a report that years ago we did used to trade the Canada bank rate statement. It used to really, really, really move. And, the world crisis changed so much of our trading. A lot of reports just, the markets stopped looking at them because the markets were so busy with other issues. Slowly but surely, some reports are coming back, though, which is pretty interesting. We are getting reports that come back. And there's a couple of Canadian reports that are coming back. A couple of Australian reports have been coming back. So it's just a question of continually watching and testing the reports. So if you go back to December on this report, that's when it first kind of started showing a little bit of life. If we look at December, or at least that's when I noticed, that's when I started taking notice that this report was moving. During the crisis, I'd been trying to trade it as a breakout trade, but that's not the right way to do it. I mean, as a reversal trade. And I think you either gotta do it as a breakout, I think. Now, you could get on the wrong side of it. It's possible. That's not going to work every time. This was October. I just happened to have it on the video. October would have filled you short. And I don't think it would have stopped you out when it went back to the retrace. Obviously, it depends where it would have filled you. If it filled you at the exact bottom of the candle, that would have been trouble. That'd have been trouble if it was the bottom of the candle. But then it moved again back into a good direction. But it was pretty choppy in October. Ultimately, the direction was down. Whether you could have survived October, it's a little bit tricky trade. I don't think it was survivable. But I didn't really start looking at it. Whoops, I meant to keep that video going. So that was October. Then you go into December, and Jolts was trading on the right. Jolts is just such a mess. It's just a mess, that report. And was looking for a reversal on the Canada Bank statement again. And you could see it popped up a little bit. Probably would have just filled your bracket. You wouldn't have got stopped out on that pullback. And then I tried to do a reversal. I just want to see if there's any further follow through to the upside or not. No. So I think December, let's see what it does from here. If it jolts back up or if it keeps going down. December could have been tricky. So 70. Not a lot of movement is the only thing that's really true. Just not a lot of movement. So I'm not 100% that this is the smart trade to take yet. It may not quite be ready. But in January, it's definitely not a family trade. So January, the report comes out. That would have filled you long. Because it's a small bracket. It's only a 5-tick bracket right now on this report. So you'd have been sitting with no profit, but no terrible disaster either. Then you'd now be looking at possibly making a few bucks. And then that would at least hit your first target as a breakout. And then it does reverse. So it's conceivable that this report can give you a breakout and a reversal in one report. Neither, which when you look at the moves, they're not gigantic. They're not real big. They are not real big. What I'm looking for is if we can get a breakout in one direction with not gigantic targets. I think that's the key. You want to have pretty small targets. And then if you get a stoppage in price, you might be able to grab a small reversal also. So January, looked interesting. Started to show some life in one direction. Then March was there's two more reports, March and April. Still looking at reversals. That's the only thing we've been looking for on this trade. Reversals are very tough to time, extremely tough to time them. Because you never know when an index is done moving in one direction. There's no way to know. 100% anyway. Well, there's no way to do anything 100% with trading. But now this one, if you were patient, I think if my memory is correct, well, see, that would have filled you short. So that would have been short. Not much there for profit yet either. 205. Now, if it keeps going down, then you do have an opportunity to get some profit there. So that's what I want to. I want to see mostly a one direction move. I don't want to see a reversal yet, but it's right at the PP, so that's trouble for profit. Okay, it's a very good reversal place, which it's doing. And just looking at these videos, it's making me really question my judgment as to whether this is worth trading yet. Not quite the moves I'd like to see. Let's look at the beginning of that move one more time. So this is 2 months ago. 2 months ago, your price is at 90 or 85, right? Goes up 3 ticks. And it fills you short. but you don't really get quite enough of a follow through. But it looks like to me you'd probably hit your first target. My first target's only going to be 5 ticks. But you did not get a great reversal on that trade. If you stayed in, it would have been a better downside, and then eventually it starts to reverse. It's tricky. This is a tricky report. It's not as easy as it looked originally. And then that when I first really paid attention to it. Now you have April. So here's April. Pre-trade volatility in April. Quite a bit. Quite a bit. And that was, see, that's the way it used to work. Okay. That's the way it used to work. And then, of course, you can get your reversal. So, what we don't know, you've only had 1 month of the way it used to work. So, we don't know yet if the report's coming back, if it's still going to just chop around a lot. Went right to the high. You had the high and the PP up there, so you had a good reversal possibility too. So that's what we don't know. Is it going to, it's making new highs now. Is it going to pop and give you a breakout, or is it just going to be a reversal? We don't know. We don't know. So I'm in my test account. If I were going to trade it for real, I would set up 2 trades. The breakout is a bracket of 5, 1 target of 5, 1 target of 10, a stop of 12. So you're risking about $120. Your profit's not great. It's 75 if you hit both your targets. The entry time would be 10 o'clock. It's a breakout trade. I'm going to give it a shot. There's a possibility maybe it's coming back. Maybe it'll just hit the first target. Bank of Canada rate. So just doing 1 target for 5 ticks, 1 target for 10 ticks. Stop of 12. Entry time of 10 o'clock. So if you get a solid move, it'll work. If you don't get a solid move, then it won't work. So 5-tick bracket. Bracket might be a little tight. Might be a little tight. You know, if we get a big move, if you get a slow, lousy move, you're not going to make money. So I think I'd rather just have a slightly better bracket. Let's go for 6. There's been a lot of pre-trade movement this morning. And what we're looking for is a breakout. That's what we're looking for. See if my recorder's fixed. I reinstalled it. Is it really not fixed? I don't believe it. It's still not fixed. It worked all morning. So frustrating. Come on. Nope. It will not let me do it. Makes me so mad. So I have to use the trade room videos, which I can't stand them. And we can't rewatch them. So I'm going to have to try a different version of the software. It's just not working. Let me try something. I have an idea. That won't. It will not work. If I reboot my computer, it'll work. But I can't do that. All right. The other thing I would consider is setting up a reversal trade, but you have no levels to the upside to reverse to. R2, not good enough for me. But it's worth setting it up. You don't have to take a reversal trade. And I would not do big targets. I would do 5 and 10 again, maybe with a 13-tick stop, maybe 6 ticks on the reverse. And when you make it, choose a reversal trade, you don't enter unless you want to. You get your buttons, but you don't have a trade unless you enter it. So I'm just looking for 2 small targets of 6 ticks and 10 ticks in the reversal. Trade type is reversal, and then you definitely want to label it so you see it. So we'll see if this report is valid anymore. See, that's where you get your little buttons. Now it would be nice if it pulls away from the highs. I'd like to see it pull away from the highs before the trade. TJ, I am trading live. It's not a family money trade. It's really a test to see if there's any life in this trade, if my brackets are safe. But it's definitely not a family money trade. Okay. You know, it's $5 a tick, not what I would call super high risk. But I don't understand why all of a sudden now my snag it won't work. And I have to maybe install an older version. See, it won't let me adjust it. It's not worth rebooting my computer and then rushing. And then we'll stay here for crude. Even though crude has not been a money-making trade for us. I'm going to try something different today. It's something I've never done before, so it's really a practice trade, but it'll be a good demonstration of some of the features of the software that nobody knows about or that we know very little about. Let's check our sync. By going to the website time.is. I can't keep trying. It won't work. All right. So last night we had a nice API trade. First family trade of the week. This afternoon we've got bonds. Tomorrow there's a lot of trades. WASD, CPI, which is not a family trade, but I'm interested in trading it. And I think there's 3 family trades tomorrow. Natural gas, which is on the border of getting punished. 30-year bond auction. So WASD and bonds tomorrow. Core CPI has been trading well for the past couple of months, but I'm just not quite ready to call it a family trade, especially tomorrow. There's some elements when we talk about it tomorrow. I'll explain why. There's some elements with the trade that make it more complicated tomorrow. So I feel kind of naked when my recorder's not working. It's funny. I guess I'll have to try a different version. I don't know if I should try an older one or a newer one. So we got about 2 minutes to go. Look at our time one more time. Bingo. So the breakout trade, it'll trigger by itself. The reversal, you have to enter either long or short if you think it's appropriate. And I'm not crazy about the levels. The support and resistance on the chart, to me, doesn't lend itself to great reversal trading today. You've got R1. You're not going to get down to the PP. That's the problem. I don't believe. Unless there's a move like there was last month. See, I would be very happy if there's a move like we had last month. Then my theory that this trade's coming back to life is true. Now, I would not anticipate that they changed the rates. That'd be a surprise. Not a good move. Okay, not a good move at all. Not the kind of move I wanted to see. Absolutely not the kind of move I wanted to see. I do not want to take a full stop out on this trade. Now, it's pushing up a little bit, but I don't anticipate it moving much. It's really just not moving. That's what I don't want to see. Trying to get out with as small a loss as I can. I may not be able to. Nope, it got me. So just not, this trade's not ready for prime time. It's just not ready for prime time. Now, the real move, unfortunately, was to the downside. The real move would have worked to the downside. I think it's just too inconsistent to trade. Now, look, maybe you could have taken the reversal there at the VWAP. That might have worked. You got some tick movement in that direction. Yeah, no change, no reaction. And I just waited too long to get out. Just waited too long to get out. So my fault. My fault. So we got to move over to crude. But so we've just had one good move really in quite a few months. Not worth trading yet. It's just not worth trading yet. Everybody stay where you are. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to reboot my computer and see if I can get my recorder to work. So I'll be right back. Just stay where you are. You might have to re-enter the room. No, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that because I'm not trading crude live. I'll show you why. I don't want to make you all have to come back into the room. So I'm going to try a different method on crude. I don't even know if I can do it, to be honest. It's something I'm wanting to try. Because there's a feature in our software So we're trading CL 721. And the problem with crude, let me show you what the problem with crude is. So the problem with crude last week would have been a stop for us. The week before it canceled. 2 weeks before it canceled. 3 weeks before it canceled. So maybe two winners at a 6 with breakouts. Just not a good look for a report you want to put your money on. You got to wait. If you're going to trade it as a breakout trade, you've just got to wait for crude to come back and behave itself and start acting as a breakout again, which it probably will do after the summer. Crude will work better after the summer. So I'm going to do something, try and do something different. I can't. I wish I could record it. I wish I could record it, but it won't let me. You know what? It's letting me. All right. So crude's recording. I don't know why. So there's a feature in our software. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's look at last week first. So last week was a problem with crude. Today's the 9th, so it looks like it would have been the 2nd, 3rd. So here was last week's crude trade. See, I like the charts that way better. They look so much better. All right, so there's our bracket. Crude pops down a little bit. And it just no follow through at all. And it just turns around and stops you out. And then the week before that, incredibly, I believe it was a winner the week before. I mean, crude has not been behaving like a winning trade in a long time. Slow response. Or maybe it was a cancel last week. 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that was a cancel. No trade in 10 seconds. So that was a cancel. And it had a gigantic drawdown. And it really didn't quite go the right way either initially. And then the week before that, so this was May 19th. And that was just a nice breakout. That was a perfect trade. Has not been trading like that consistently, and that's our problem. We're not getting consistency out of crude. Okay, we're just not. So if we don't get consistency, you have to wait until it gets consistent again. And it did go through many months of good trading. So what I'm going to try and do, and I don't know if I can do it because I need to practice it more. So today will be my first shot. I'm going to be looking at the result. And if it's red, I'm going to look at an eventual short. And if it's green, I'm going to look for an eventual long if I can get it. And the idea is after the initial move, I'm going to see if I can get the second move. In other words, if there's a drop down, but the news is good, then I'm going to look to go long. And sometimes you might have to wait a candle or two before you put your order on. But you use the squeeze play feature in the software. I'll show you what I mean. So you choose the regular software. I'm going to do a tick above the range and a tick below the range. And I'm going to use a one-click bar look back of just one bar. It's not a time-based trade, okay? I'm going to use two contracts, and my first target will be 8 ticks, and my second target will be 20 ticks, and my stop will be 14 ticks. It probably should be a little bit more if you're trading crude. I'll do it at 15 for now. And then the idea, and I don't know if I've got it right, but we'll see. You do it as a squeeze play. So when you put on a squeeze plate, you get all these buttons. So what I'm going to try to determine, now crude already has a little bit of a trend to the upside before the report. What I'm going to try to determine is the news is going to come out. And if the news is positive, then I'm going to try to get long. By clicking the one-click long button. If the news is negative, I'm going to try to get short. Now, Mark, you trade this way all the time. So what's the key to the entry? The key to the entry is you don't jump in immediately, right? You got to wait for the news result. I mean, so what color are you looking for today? Are you only interested in going long today because the trend is up? So, and is that why you're only long because of the trend? So in other words, the idea is you got to calculate your trend. And you have to pick a consistent place that you calculate your trend from. And Mark uses midnight, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark. You use midnight. Eastern time to decide what the trend is. Okay. So if you look at crude, where crude was at midnight, and crude at midnight looks to me it was about 70.50. And then you can watch it by just moving the chart. So it didn't really start trending up until later in the morning. Whoa. Just watching. I almost see it as a flat. It's starting to trend. I almost don't see a great trend. It's not a great trend today. That's the truth. Today is not a great trend. So if you have negative news and you get what appears to be a move down, say you have negative news and it pops to the high of the day, you could put a short on by clicking one click range short and see if it'll work. If the news is negative, if your color is red here. And Mark's short area, and he trades this way all the time. That's why I'm referencing Mark. He does this all the time on the crude report. We don't. I'm just testing something for curiosity's sake and because crude hasn't been working and because we're here. And he's picking 70.23 as his short entry. And why are you choosing 23? I mean, 23 was the low after the open. Oh, so he uses the open at 9 o'clock and then a 3-minute range to calculate levels, to help him with levels. So crude theoretically opens at 9. And its low was 23 in the first 3 minutes. And its high was 46. No, its high was 41. So what's your long entry? Do you have a target for a long entry? So you use the midnight hour to see if you have a trend. And he uses the 3-minute opening range to get possible entry levels. And today I would say that you are dealing with a flat trend. There really isn't a strong trend. That makes it a little trickier. And why is your long above 41? Just curious. Why 41? Ah, okay. 3 minutes. So he goes back to the open at 9 o'clock because that's oil's. That's in the old days, oil used to open at 9 o'clock. So, and I mean, there used to be a pit. That's what the issue is. So the high of, he uses a 3 minute opening range. Okay. So 901, 902, 903, 23 on the low side, 41 on the high side. Okay. So here's the element that he's using. He's using where is crude from midnight? And we've determined it's kind of flat. So we don't really have a true direction. If crude was up 30 ticks, 40 ticks from midnight, we would only go long and we would use the open 3 minute range to decide when we're going to go long. Now, is something there might be a totally different way to take this trade, Mark. Totally crazy. I have to think about this for a second. Did you ever try taking a range trade using? I have to think about this. I have to think about this. I don't know how it can be done. I wanted to do a range trade between 901 and 904, or really 9 and 903. But I don't want to enter the trade until after the report. No, so you have to do it with the levels. I don't think there's any other way to do it. I have to think about it. What the software, if I can get the software to do it. So if you wanted to, you could put a line at 41, right? You could make it green. If you wanted to, you don't have to. And you can make it pretty thick. And you could keep that in mind as your possible long entry. And then you can put a line down at 23 if you want to, because that was our short entry. Make it red, I suppose. So, and there you have possible entries depending what the report does. Now today, his preference is long only. So that means if the news is good, so the big question is, when do you put your order on? How soon after? As soon as you see the news, he'll click the long range button. And then you'll move your order down to the entry price, or will you wait Okay. All right. So I'll see if I can do this. It's a totally different way of trading the oil report. Totally different. But why are we doing this? Because the oil report hasn't been working our way. And there's nothing wrong with trying something different. It's just that simple. Yeah, Mike. So what I'm doing is the bracket doesn't matter. The only things that matter are your positions. So I've got two positions on. I'm using a target of 8 and 20. I'm using a stop of 15. And the squeeze play is the trade type. Okay. That, when you enable it, gives you all the buttons. And I'm going to be looking long. If the news comes out good, it's green, I'll hit the long button and I'll try to move my order as close to 41 as possible. Okay. Depending where the candle is. Now, if the candle, what do you do, Mark, if your candle's way above your entry price? Do you wait for it to pull back? You'll just, if the candle is way above your entry price, you'll just go long immediately if the news is good. Right. If news is good, you hit the same button. And let price come down to your entry. Okay. How big a stop are you using these days? 20. I think you got to use 20 with crude. So that's what we'll use. I think 15 is tight, especially report day. So let's see what happens. So the button we're interested in is the long button today. So good news, go long, but we want to enter at 41, Mike. All right. That's our entry because it's the high of the opening 3-minute range. All right. And we're just trusting Mark on direction. I think because oil's flat today, but oil's very bullish over the past couple of days and weeks, actually. It's over 70. I'm thinking that's probably why Mark is bullish. Well, this is absolutely a possibility of a way to trade this report that for one of our members has been working phenomenally well. And more people doing it will not affect the trade either. You're not putting on extra orders, like liquidity or anything like that. Our software has the capability of doing a lot of really interesting things that we don't do, partly because we don't always have time to test all these different things. But this is a way to try to understand all the power in our software. You can do much more than just simple breakouts and reversals. But it's tricky. It's not easy. Trading is not easy. So you're going to be looking for news. You're going to put your order on, and then you want to move your order down to the level of that green line. You're long. And you wait for it to come down to it. If it was going to be short, you would do the opposite. And if you were going to do long or short, you could click the one-click range entry button and you'd get orders on both sides. Now, I would think sometimes, Mark, you just get pulled into the market immediately. Well, I'm not going to talk to you now because he's trading for real. So now we're assuming we're going to get long news. We should not necessarily assume that. That's not definite. So there's the news. The news is good. So now I'm late. So I bring my order down to my entry. Now I'm entered. And my first target is 10. The 20 tick stop. So hopefully we'll survive the stop. And we don't. We did not. Did not survive that stop. Now, that doesn't mean that this is a bad setup. It just didn't work today. So let's look at something else, though. Now, and one of the issues might be because there was no trend, okay? And that could be a factor. That could be a factor. Okay. So you can't let one failure turn you off to a system either, because he does it all the time and it works often. I'm going to have to do some practicing, but I just want to do one quick thing. If you want to hang around real quick, I'm going to download the data. Download the data, market replay, today's oil, and show you what would have happened on the breakout. Today is the 9th. You choose oil 721, download it, takes a second, okay? And now we're going to disconnect our connection and go to replay, playback. I'm going to put today's date in, 6/9. I'm going to click the right button, go to, and I'm going to put the time in, 10:29:54. A couple of seconds before we normally would put a breakout in. Now, Ninja has a bug. When I start this replay, it's working today. Okay, it did not give me the bug. This is the time we're looking at. Our oil trade, I'm going to replay the oil trade as a breakout just to see what possibly would have happened today. So our breakout setup, we're going to put the trade in, takes a second. Okay, our bracket is 10. Our targets are 7 and 15. Our stop is 12. And our entry time is 10:29:58. $10:29:58. It's a breakout trade, and we're just going to replay the oil breakout. use this clock here where my cursor is. Here's the trade. Oops, hold on, I goofed. Let me back up. I forgot to enable the trade. So 10:29:54. I do that all the time. Enable the trade over here. Okay, that's why my brackets didn't show up. And now, here come my brackets. It would have not filled. It looks like it would have filled long. It looks like a stop out. You didn't get any follow through, and it drops down. So that would not have worked. Would not have worked. Let's watch that. Let's do that one more time. So we can replay it again. Go to 10:29:58. And we can replay the trade again. Make sure it's enabled. Now I made a mistake. Okay, what did I do? I put the wrong time in. 10:29:54. 58 is our entry. Okay. So you just go back and fix it. It's no big deal. Now press play. We'll get our bracket. There's our bracket. The news comes out. We got no fill to the downside, unfortunately, by 1 tick, and it goes up 11 ticks and then shoots down, it looks like. Three minutes on the opening range, right. So would not have been a very good regular trade either, it looks like to me. It was late. It moved late. It moved down after it was too late for us. So sometimes that happens. Now, I think on a day where there's no trend, maybe there's a way to try either direction. That would be the one thing I might consider differently, right? So there was no trend today from midnight. So what if you replay the trade, right? Replay the trade, 10:29. I'll make it a tiny bit longer. 10:29:50, 10 seconds. I'll put on what we did similar to the squeeze play. So you have a target of roughly 10 ticks, or let's say 8 ticks, and 20 ticks like I did before, stop of 20. So the trade should have worked. The stockpile fell by a lot today, but it didn't. I mean, Mark was right about his direction, but it just didn't cooperate. But what would happen if and I don't know if where my timing would be correct. So in other words, putting the trade on. No, you know, it wouldn't have worked. This trade would not have worked today. We go by the direction of the news. So no, it just didn't work today. You're not taking a short because the news direction was long. It just didn't work. It just didn't work. That's all there is to it. What are the brackets based on? Yeah, Jeffrey, the whole thing about a bigger bracket working, the brackets are based on months and months and months of studying the event. They're not just random. So just one trade will never make you change your brackets. Okay. You can look at a million one-offs where if your bracket was bigger, your trade would have worked. But you're just going on, we've got years of trades. Now, because crude's not working right now, Jeffrey, if you're willing to go and test 10 crude trades, 2.5 months, or really 3, to see if a different bracket would work, that's how you come up with the brackets. But using one trade to change a bracket is just not an answer because there's no trend with one trade. Okay. So the brackets are based on months of studying the event and seeing what bracket works. All right. That's what the brackets are based on. So I'm going to set my chart up for bonds later. We're going to trade the 10-year note. Ten-year note. Now bonds are on 9. I'm pretty sure. And easy to tell what bonds are on. Go to Market Analyzer, go to my little template for volume, right? Load the template, daily volume, load in the bonds, ZB921, ZB621. I'm sure it's 9, I checked. But just so you could see how little volume there is on 6. So bonds have already rolled. We'll be trading 9. And now my charts are ready, though, with a bond report. Because Ninja will remember the way it was when you shut down. All right, folks, I'll see everybody at 12:30 for the family trade, 10-year bonds. Okay? See everybody later. Mark, thank you very much. We may try it again next week because crude's not working. I hope we didn't jinx you. I hope we didn't jinx you. Yeah, it didn't work today. It's all right. It's going to happen. Definitely. Can't worry about it. Can't worry about it. It's like I was worried about the API not working yesterday. All right, folks. Hey, Chantal, I guess hopefully you hear me and you can. YouTube, thank you, everybody. Give us a like, sign up, and we'll see you tomorrow. All right, folks. I'll see everybody later.